I thought I stepped into a Catholic church. Bingo. The eighth sacrament. Nothing says Catholicism like bingo, that's for sure. It is an honor to be here, really, at Spiritual Church of Awareness. Appreciate everybody coming. Got some guests. Emilio, who teaches classes here. Reverend Jeannie, who I took the classes with her. I think she went into therapy after I was one of her students. I have that effect on people. I put on Facebook that I was going to talk about how my business life has transitioned into my spiritual life. I'm going to call it business, metaphysics, and spirit had another plan for me. So, and I practiced this morning. I said, I've written a lot, because normally my talks aren't long. I can hear Rosa going, it's another short one, okay. And I came in at 10 minutes, so maybe I'll stretch this to 11 minutes. Leaves me more time for messages, which I love to do. I don't know who decided this, but there are 6 basic universal emotions. Used to be 7. And those emotions are surprise, happiness, disgust, sadness, anger, and fear. Contempt used to be in there, but somebody found contempt for contempt, so they removed it from the emotion. Contempt's a little bit upset about that. And if you're familiar, how many people here are familiar with A Course in Miracles? Okay, good. This will go really well. 4 people raised their hand. A Course in Miracles is very popular. I've not taken it. And they teach that there are 2 emotions, love and fear. So fear is there in both. And so is love, but I want to talk about fear. So I guess the title of this talk is The Energy of Fear, right? And fear, I think, is the emotion that we experience the most. I really do. I think it raises its ugly head at times in which we feel isolated, we feel alone, we feel disconnected. It seems like, it really helps when you can read your own writing. This could be the end of the talk. And so the other day, the Spirit said, well, what if you put on the scale and you weighed the emotions? What do you think that would weigh? And I think fear would weigh the most because it's the heaviest. I think love would weigh the lightest. And the way Spirit showed me was, okay, we have these 6 emotions within us, right? And fear is so heavy, I think it takes love and happiness to navigate its way through these emotions, especially fear. Look at the 6 emotions. Most of them are negative. Anger, sadness, disgust, and you've got fear, and you've got happiness and surprise. So, just fear, ladies and gentlemen, seems to be near the surface of everything, of our mind, body, and spirit, where love has to kind of find its way. I don't know if it makes sense to you. If we think about, to me, nothing's more powerful than thought. That's Jerry's interpretation. Because everything starts with thought. Thought equals belief, right? And things we believe in equals our behavior. Our beliefs guide our behavior. Thank you very much. That's the end of my talk. I'm sorry. That was an awkward pause. I have to turn the page. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of the political landscape, regardless of the wars, this has been going on for decades. Right? It's been going on for centuries. Most wars are fought out of fear and are fought out of fundamentalism. One fundamentalist idea attacks another fundamentalist idea. Right? And so we live with, okay, fear, am I going to have enough money to pay the bills? Fear of, am I going to have a roof on my head? Am I going to have food in my stomach? Can I afford to feed my family? Fear of, am I going to lose my job? And so fear, it doesn't run our life, but it's there multiple times in the day. So, lately, my fear, believe it or not, has been my own mortality. And the reason I say that is, I know the continuity of life. That's the beautiful thing that spiritualism teaches, is the continuity of life. Better than anybody else, that there is a continuity of life. There is an afterlife. There is a beautiful place for all of us. My parents passed in their 60s. And on my father's side, almost everybody, my father was the oldest of 6 children, they almost all passed in their 60s. And in 2 weeks, on St. Patrick's Day, I turned 70. So I'll give you an address later where you can send the gifts. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm retired. I'm on a budget. But I've outlived, it's kind of sad, at the age of 70, almost everybody. On my mom's side, too. My mom died at 62. She passed at 62. I hate to say died. And my father passed 7 months later at the age of 65. And my brother passed at the age of 66. 2 months before I went to the hospital for 8 months. I used to call it Florida South. It's, you know, Advent. I'm not going to say anything political, but thank God for Obamacare, okay? That's all I got to say. That would have cost me millions because I was there for 238 days. Folks, there are people who were there much longer than I was. There was a gentleman much younger. I don't know how he ever did. It was there. I mean, he was sicker than I was, okay? So I pray for him. So 200 of those days were spent in ICU, not knowing if I was going to ever. And then Mary, my wife, had to spend 238 days is a couple days shy of 8 months. And so she had to spend all that time alone wondering if I'm ever going to come back. This little fear does turn of mortality comes at a time when the last 5 weeks I've lost 4 high school friends, either my age or a year or two younger. My best friend died of bone marrow cancer. By the way, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but Jeff would appreciate me laughing. This is supposed to be an uplifting talk here. I don't think we're doing it. And then Bob was one of my best friends, and he died of a sudden heart attack. And the other 2 folks were 67 and 68. And so, but I heard this the other day. I don't know where I heard it, folks. You can't run away from fear, right? You can't run away from fear. Fear is part of our life. We have to confront fear for what it is and say, I'm going to use a Game of Thrones reference. Any Game of Thrones fans here? Oh boy, 3. Okay, anyway. Do you remember when they said, not today? Right. No, okay. It's a great series. By the way, this is a plug for a movie. Have you seen the movie Conclave? You really ought to see the movie Conclave. Great movie. Great movie, nice twist. My wife read the book. But I tell Mary, you read the book, so don't spoil the movie. And she would go, just wait, just wait. I go, Mary, I'm trying to watch a movie. My voice just changed, puberty. Spirit's laughing. It's the effect I have, I guess. When I discover my gifts, I'm not like a lot of you folks. We all have gifts, right? And we're born with these gifts. And they manifest themselves at a time when they're supposed to manifest themselves. I did not discover my gifts until my mid-50s when I got in a circle that was run by Emilio. And there's another, Carla was in there, Rosie, Annette, of course. I can't remember if anybody else was in that circle. And Spirit gave me this little phrase that I use before I do a reading. I don't do as many readings these days. I'm focused more on writing. Relax, allow, and trust. Relax, allow, and trust. I said that on the way here. Relax, allow what Spirit tells us, and trust in what Spirit tells us. And I say that before every reading, before I do anything like this. There's another thing that Spirit gave me, which was cleanse my thoughts. I don't know if you can clear your mind. If you can, God bless you. I haven't learned to do it because I do have ADD, in case you haven't noticed. Funny story the other day. I don't know if you're going to find this funny. I'm walking in the neighborhood. This is my ADD kicking in, by the way. I was walking in my neighborhood, and there was a couple coming around the lake. And I just got distracted. I said, I wonder what happens if an alligator comes out and attacks them. And that's just my life, folks. I carry pepper spray when I walk because of dogs in the neighborhood, right? And I'm going, now how would I go out over and rescue them? My body now is built for comfort. It's not built for speed anymore. It really never was built for speed. Okay. And I'm sitting there going, let's see, the pepper spray's in the right pocket. I'll get the right pocket. Well, my foot hit an incline on the sidewalk. Next thing I know, I was kissing the sidewalk. By the way, I didn't tell Mary that part, but she'll see this recording and she'll know. So, gash in my knee, my elbow. And the Spirit was like, would you just focus on walking? There hasn't been an alligator spotted in 15 years or 13 years that we've lived there. Would you just knock it off? So anyways, but ladies and gentlemen, I think I just came in at 10 minutes. More time for messages. We know the continuity of life. We know what that's about. And you know, almost every religion, there's over 3,000 religions in the world today, believe it or not. And most of them, I'm not going to say all of them because I don't know, but most of them teach a life after death. But spiritualism is unique. It teaches you there's a life. And there's things you can do. That golden rule, nothing's better than the golden rule. You know, we say we're all connected, but you look at the world today, I don't know that we are. We're connected by one spirit, one universe, you know, but we don't act like it. So, my last thoughts are relax, allow, and trust. Cleanse my thoughts, ease my fears. Don't get rid of my fears because I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm going to confront them. And I'm not going to run away from it, but I'm going to learn from it. I'm a big follower of Richard Rohr. I know I mentioned him a lot of times. He's a Franciscan mystic. He is, I've been to 6 of his conferences out in New Mexico. His conferences draw nowadays about 2,000 people. Of all colors, all races, all religions, all everything. Catholic Church doesn't kind of know what to do with him because he is so popular. He's written about a dozen best-selling books. He says, you know, I like to ask pain, what is it you're trying to teach me? What is it you're trying to teach me? There's a lesson here. I don't think we're given tests. This is Jerry's personal opinion. I don't think we're given tests by the universe or tests by spirit, but I think there are lessons to learn. And we go through that life and learn the lessons. So even in writing this, I felt easier. I'm sad my friends passed. I was with Jeff. He lives in Wisconsin. And he's been fighting bone marrow cancer for a number of years. We knew it was only a matter of time, but toward the end I was talking to him while he was in the hospital. And I know he's in a better place. I know Bob's in a better place. You know, I know they're not heathens because they're not in the, oh, this is going to cause, that's okay, I don't know. You know, in the Protestant religion, which I grew up in the Protestant religion, I thought I was in a Protestant church also because only Protestants would make you sing all 4 verses of every song. But in Protestant religion, Protestant worship, so you see people going, as they have to sing. And in the Protestant religion, there's like 5 or 6 verses. Sorry, it was beautiful music. You know I love you. I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry. It's my life with ADD. And by the way, the couple did ask me, are you okay? And I said, yeah, just my pride and the gash in my knee, which was bleeding profusely at that point. But you know, it's funny. Richard Rohr also talks about the Bible and Scripture. He says, you know, Jesus really only mentions, you know, the Bible's comprised of, I'm not here to talk about it, but it's comprised of the Old Testament and the New Testament. But we seem, as Christians seem to focus on the New Testament. Well, the New Testament doesn't happen without the Old Testament. And Jesus never quoted the Bible. He told stories. He told parables so that people would understand the lessons. And he said, you know, Jesus only talked about the 10 Commandments a couple of times. And the one commandment he talked about was love thy God and love thy neighbor. No matter who your neighbor is, no matter where you are in the world, love thy neighbor. And so, and even Jesus had a doubt when he was on the cross, thinking that God had left him, had abandoned him. So we do have, it is okay to have those bouts of disbelief. You know, not disbelief, but those bouts of fear. Those bouts of what is the unknown. And I'll leave you with this. My brother passed 2 months before I went into the hospital. He was a Methodist minister for 35 years. And his wife, my sister-in-law, said one day she saw him with a sheet covered up to here because he was in a hospital bed at this point. It was colon cancer. And she said, Stanley, what are you doing? He says, I'm hiding from death. So that's a reminder that no matter how spiritual we are, we're still a physical body. We still have doubts, but it's okay. Spirit knows that. God knows that. Infinite intelligence knows that. I don't think God cares what name you call God. And so the continuity of life is most reassuring because we know we'll see our loved ones. We'll know that we'll be in the presence of the divine. You know, okay, one last point. Sorry, Spirit say, tell this story. Okay, it's real quick. In my master's classes, I studied near-death experiences. And they tried to recreate near-death experiences. I don't know if I've ever talked about the God helmet before. If I have, I know I did it in another place. But it's a helmet that these scientists, they put electrodes on it, and they said, we can recreate a near-death experience. They recreated emotions. They recreated light and sounds and signs. And they tested on this one person who had a near-death experience. And he said, it just wasn't enough. Because when you pass, you have the presence of the divine. However we call it divine, you have the presence of the divine. You know you're in the presence of something great. You know you're in the presence of the divine. And so, in fact, in my new and upcoming book, plug, I talk about the God helmet and what they didn't include in these experiments. And so know that the divine is waiting for us. And I say waiting for us, divine is here, right? We always look up, the divine is here. And when we pass, know that we have a better place. And I think we all know that, right? I was waiting for someone to go, no. Okay, you're a Baptist, you're in the wrong church. Thank you very much for listening to me. Sorry I went off script, because that's the way I roll. So thank you for being here. God bless.
Thank you very much.